Carbohydrates are macromolecules, and like proteins, fats, after they are being digested, they are broken down into very small units known as monomers. For carbohydrates, when they are digested, they form monosaccharides. And these monosaccharides are going to undergo specific processes for them to be utilized finally in our body. So today we'll be talking about an overview of the carbohydrate metabolic pathways. To better understand any pathway, you need to understand specific terms. And for carbohydrate metabolic pathways, there are specific terms that you need to understand, and you should be able to distinguish between them. One of the most important pathways in the carbohydrate metabolism is glycolysis. Glycolysis, so to break down sugar. And the most important here is glucose. There are also other monomers of carbohydrates, such as fructose, galactose, mannose, etc. So it means that we are going to break down glucose, for example, into subsequent products. And the aim of glycolysis is to form 2,3-carbon compound known as pyruvate. Second, we have Krebs cycle. For Krebs cycle, it's like a continuation of glycolysis. So both glycolysis and Krebs cycle, they are used to provide energy in the form of ATP for our body. When we take in food, we have to digest it, and carbohydrates are the main source of energy in our body. They are the primary source. Of course, fats can provide more energy in the form of ATP than carbohydrates, but our body does not go to straight to fats. They first of all use glucose as the main source of energy. So glycolysis and Krebs cycle are very important pathways which are used in carbohydrate metabolism. As well as glycolysis providing pyruvate, Krebs cycle is going to use acetyl-CoA and oxaloacetate. So the pyruvate that we're going to get from glycolysis is going to be converted to acetyl-CoA, and later the acetyl-CoA is going to be used in Krebs cycle in order to provide more molecules of ATP. Next important pathway is gluconeogenesis. Neogenesis. As the name implies, gluconeogenesis. So it's a pathway which we are going to use, or our body uses, to provide glucose. Remember, our blood level of sugar has to be at a certain level. So if we lack glucose, our body tries to synthesize it or to provide it in a pathway known as gluconeogenesis. That is from non-carbohydrate sources. So such as proteins, lactate, they are going to be converted into glucose in a series of steps. Another most important pathway we're going to talk about is glycogenesis. As the name implies, glycogen or glycogenesis, meaning we are going to synthesize glycogen. Most of you already know that glycogen is the form of energy. Well, that's how humans store their carbohydrates. And for plants, they store theirs as starch. We store ours as glycogen. As you already know, glycogen and starch, they are very similar. The main difference is the number of branching points that they have. Another very important pathway is glycogenolysis. As the name implies, glycogen and lysis. So this is also a very important pathway where we have to break down our glycogen when our glucose levels are low in order to provide glucose. So the glucose will later be used for energy. Another very important pathway is pentose phosphate pathway. So for pentose phosphate pathway, the initial precursor is actually glucose 6-phosphate, but the most important thing you need to know about glucose 6-phosphate, pentose phosphate pathway is that it is used to provide ribose 5-phosphate, which will be used in the synthesis of nucleotides. As well, NADPH is very important, coenzyme, which is going to be formed, which is used in a lot of metabolic processes in our body, such as synthesis of cholesterol, fatty acid synthesis, and the reduction of glutathione. So these are the most important carbohydrate metabolic pathways that you need to know. But in subsequent videos, we'll be talking about them in detail. Thank you very much.